Bar staff, have you ever had a man use the safe word drink escape, and how often does it happen? I was on a business trip one night in a city I didn't know well. After a long day of meetings, I went to a bar by myself, hoping to have a quiet drink and decompress. I found a corner stool, ordered a beer, and settled in, scrolling through my phone while the usual low hum of chatter and clinking glasses filled the room. About 20 minutes in, a woman approached. At first it seemed harmless. She was friendly, smiling, chatting me up, but it quickly became clear that she was aggressively focused on me. She was loud, touchy, and completely ignoring my polite attempts to keep the conversation casual. She kept leaning in, grabbing my arm, and made it obvious she wanted to leave with me, saying things like she would fuck my brains out. It was intense, and I could feel a knot of panic forming. She was clearly a regular at this bar, the type of person who had been overserved countless times before, and I was just some guy sitting alone, completely unprepared for this. I knew I needed help, but I also knew I couldn't just walk away without escalating the situation. I tried a few strategies to make it clear I wasn't interested. At one point, I stood up and pretended that a stranger across the room, an Asian guy sitting at another table, was my best friend. I waved him over, acting like I was about to leave with him, hoping that would give me a little space. She, of course, followed me anyway, still trying to touch me and keep me in conversation. At that point, I discreetly signaled the bartender, a woman named Claire, for help. She immediately understood. Claire didn't hesitate or question it. She calmly approached, pretended to be an old friend of mine, and subtly steered me toward the office at the back of the bar. She brought me into the room, and another staff member, Mark, was already there. They sat me down, offered me a drink and some food, and made sure I was out of sight of the woman. Inside the office, Claire and Mark treated the situation with a mix of seriousness and care. They let me finish my beer in peace, gave me to-go food for the night, and just talked with me for a few minutes to make sure I felt safe. They explained nothing, just acted like it was normal for staff to step in when a guest was in trouble. The woman outside kept wandering the bar, but I was safe. She never made it to the office, never realized I'd disappeared. The whole thing took maybe 20 minutes, but it felt longer. Sitting there, watching the door and breathing, I kept thinking about how quickly the evening could have gone completely sideways if Claire and Mark hadn't been paying attention. I remember the woman vividly, her wild unkempt hair, the heavy cigarette smoke that clung to her clothes, and the way she moved with that unfiltered boldness. After a while, the commotion settled. Claire and Mark stayed with me until I felt ready to leave. They walked me out quietly through the back exit, and I got to a taxi without a single confrontation. It was a surreal experience, leaving the bar alive, calm, and with food for the road, while the chaos of the main floor continued behind me. The next morning, the whole thing replayed in my mind. I realized that what happened wasn't about me. It was about the staff noticing a potentially dangerous situation and taking action without hesitation. Claire and Mark didn't overthink it, they just acted, and that made all the difference. I still picture the scene, the tension, the smell of cigarette smoke, and the feeling of relief when I finally got into that taxi. It's one of those nights where the city felt both intimidating and strangely safe at the same time. I never thanked Claire and Mark properly in person after that night, but I think about it often, remembering how quietly, efficiently, and effectively they kept me out of harm's way. It's crazy how a simple drink at a bar can turn into a potentially dangerous situation in a matter of minutes, and I'll never forget how the staff handled it. The woman never realized how close she came to making the night disastrous for me, and I'll always be grateful for the professionalism and care of Claire and Mark.